So again, I'm really happy to see such a good turnout because we really wanted to put our money where our mouth was to encourage applications from the West Valley and from new applicants and organizations. So I'm going to pass out the application process and the application, and I believe I have enough for everyone. And if it's if you're a member of a group that has more than one person here at the end, or you don't need that, if you can turn it back in, because we have other workshops. And generally, you'll be pulling the application online, because you can fill it out online. Although I have heard that some people are having some difficulty getting the grant tab down, and I'll talk about that in a moment.
Okay, we need to have,
Okay. You need more?
Thank you.
I have some more.
I think you're fine. Eve, she needs one.
Yeah, I can get it
Or
later.
is he all good for-
Okay. So since the fiscal year 2004, our county has given out $88,000 in over 70 grants to individuals and organizations over the year. And as Monica said, we have over $13,000 available for this funding cycle. It's not a fortune, but it is enough to get things out there in the community. And for this past year, I don't know if you've been to Willamette Shakespeare last weekend or so, we did provide some contributions for that. The Yamhill Enrichment Society, which will be having your tour coming up, we did provide some funds for that. We provided books throughout the county through the SMART program. So those are just three of the grants that have been out there for this past fiscal year. So what we're going to do is literally going through this.
I need to interrupt you just for 1 second. They're going to do some testing on our electricity, so the lights may flicker.
Oh, what
fun.
You're not in jeopardy or in harm's way, just letting you know.
Not that one.
So the informational sheet and the grant application are available on the website, yamhillcountyculture.org. A couple of people have said that it's difficult to pull down, and I have a Yahoo browser, and I cannot pull anything down related to our grant tabs. But if I go into the Mozilla Firefox, I can do that. So it's not necessarily a question of the website, although I thought it was for quite some time. It may be a browser. And if you have difficulties, you could phone or email one of us, and if need be, we can email you that information as well. But hopefully you'll be able to pull it down off the website. So the application process gives you a little overview of what is available, what we want from you, and what is eligible, and then there's the application itself. And we've been working on it for the past several years to try and make it a little bit more and more and more and more user-friendly. And next year, we're going to even try and do that even more so as we've been looking at things. And hopefully, when we get your feedback, it'll give us some help as well. And it is really amazing that I have had some feedback that this is a pretty easy grant application. And the fact that it could be an individual organization, profit or nonprofit organization, as long as you're doing a cultural activity. So, the mission is, Yamhill County Coalition is a 501c3, a nonprofit organization funded by the Cultural Trust, as you heard, and also private donations that occur during the cultural campaign. The mission is to increase cultural resources and opportunities in Yamhill County. Grants are available to support cultural activities and increase cultural awareness and participation. The Cultural Coalition strives to provide equitable funding to Yamhill County communities. For example, of funded projects, we have them on our website on a tab. And you can click on the grants tab. I also have information with me if you wanted to find out after the workshop. We encourage submissions from new applicants, and we look for variety and innovation in cultural opportunities. Applications for the same project that have received funding for 3 consecutive years will receive a lower priority. So in other words, we really do look for new groups. but we want to see capacity as well. The process. In order to receive a grant, an applicant must fill out a grant application form including budget information found at the website and complete a grant narrative. Be certain that your project meets the Yamhill County Coalition's priorities, which can be viewed on our website and gives you instructions how to find it. So when the coalition started, they developed a number of priorities. I'll read them to you briefly. They are on the website in more details because there is a priority, there are goals, and there are also benchmarks. I'm not going to go through that, but the first priority is the coalition will consider grants for projects that promote, maintain, or expand existing cultural activities, organizations, or education throughout the county. The coalition will consider grants for projects that blend aspects of the arts, heritage, and humanities. The coalition will consider grants for projects that tend to increase linkage and communication among cultural resources within the county and between those resources and potential audiences. The coalition will consider grants for projects that incorporate underutilized assets, including Yamhill County landscapes, into our cultural lives. So that information and the benchmarks and the goals are on the website. The address is listed here, and the deadline is September 30th for this funding cycle. So you have a little over a month. But it's not a very hard application. The hard part is getting your ideas together and your partners. So hopefully you'll be in the process of doing that. We offer competitive matching grants up to $2,500. The Cultural Coalition will fund up to 50% of the project's total cost. The applicant must secure the balance of the funding for the project. Financial support can consist of money, in-kind services, or materials. The monetary value of in-kind contribution must be listed in detail on the sheet of the grant application. The entire amount of the award must be spent on purposes stated in the application. The Grants Committee will review all applications for completeness and adherence to the cultural plan priorities. The committee forwards its recommendations to the entire coalition for a final decision. And in terms of the timeline, the grants will usually be announced by the end of November, barring any other complications. And the project must be completed by December 31st. So you're thinking of a project now. The deadline is the end of September. By the end of November, we should probably have notification unless it gets very complicated. Last year, the groups were notified in December and checks went out in January. It's possible if you have something ready to go in the late fall that maybe that could be funded because we will have our funds in early fall. But most of the organizations, they do the projects within the calendar year. So we're looking at January 1st of 2014, completed by the end of that calendar year. The names...
By the end of January, by the end of...
December 2014.
Okay, okay.
I know, I saw some alarm. It's a really fast turnaround. So you have basically a year plus, depending on when your project starts.
Year and a month.
So you have the names of 3 of the grant committee members and emails and phone numbers. Actually, yeah, that is the correct email for her. So here are the cultural priorities, abbreviated, that I went into a little more detail. And again, it's on the website, so oftentimes we refer you back to the website for the great details, so you don't have to weed through a whole lot of this now. In terms of areas that are excluded, scholarships, conferences, seminars, travel, operating costs, including staff positions, except as a viable crisis recovery plan, projects that have started or already been completed, projects advocating for political, religious, labor, fraternal, sports groups, fundraising efforts that do not support Cultural Coalition priorities, institutional benefits, general endowments, and honorary functions. In other words, we want you to do cultural activities. We're not supporting an organization with staff. We're not funding things that have already occurred. We want things to happen that people in our communities will be able to participate in. If your project is funded, you must notify the Yamhill County Cultural Coalition if there are any changes in personnel associated with the project or any changes that would affect the completion of this project. And you could call any one of us, but we listed Carol's number down. Funded projects must acknowledge all the financial support given by the County Coalition and the Oregon Cultural Trust in all printed materials that relate to the funded project. If your project is funded, you will be sent logos from the Cultural Trust and the Cultural Coalition for you to include in all the advertising. It's a way of, helping you get the word out and getting the word out about us, because we do want to be able to fund a variety of activities and give credit to where we get money from. If the application is for a specific event, you notify us of the date of that event 3 weeks prior, because we want to be able to pass information out in the community as well as to the board members so that they may attend. Let us know if the date is changed or if the scope of the event or the project is changed. The final report must be completed by the end of December 2014. A final report to us is really due 30 days after the completion of your project. So if your project is completed in June, we want it in July, not waiting until December, because we do have to submit from your report, we have to submit our report to the Cultural Trust. The final report must contain a complete actual budget in the same format as the application, a description of the audience served, results of the evaluation used to measure success, impact or results of the target audience. And this is what the Cultural Trust is really interested in, is did what you want happen. And it's okay if you expected certain things and you got a different outcome, because that's part of the learning process, but they really want to know the impact. So the result, for example, was if 10% more households started coming to a Saturday art class as a family because previously they hadn't wanted to be singled out as needy because your project was free, that might be an impact that you would want to list. Free to all meant no barriers to entry and equity among participants. Tangible property purchased with grant funds should have a plaque or tag which references our grant, and we want verification of that. So last year we funded risers at a high school, and we followed up to make sure that there was a plaque on the risers acknowledging that we had provided the funding. We encourage all organizations that are awarded a grant to support our cultural campaign and the Cultural Trust. So, obviously it's not a requirement, but really if you're getting funds from us, it would be helpful for you to let everyone know that you're getting the funds and for you to participate, because the funds do come back to our community for us to re-grant out. So that's kind of the overview of the informational sheet. So let's go to the grant, the actual grant itself. And as I said, I wanted it to be an hour, so I don't want to keep you here too long. So I'm going to go through this, hopefully at the right pace. So let me know if not.
Doing good.